Hey everyone, Scott from Journeys here. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to join our webinar today. I'm excited to share Journeys with you and hopefully get you excited about potentially using the product. Before I get started, just a few housekeeping items to take care of. First off, if you're ever looking to try to get a hold of us, a few ways to do that. One, come to our website. You can always reach out to us by typing in your email address, clicking submit, and we'll get back in touch with you that way. Or you can always send us a direct email at hi@informedjourneys.com and we'll get somebody back in touch with you. Or that third way, as always, feel free to stalk us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The handle is at Informed Journeys. We try to keep it fun over there. Give us a follow, tell your friends about us, and feel free to track along with our progress. And so now that kind of housekeeping items are out of the way, let me actually move us over to the Journeys map, which is probably what got you interested in the product to start with. You're probably saying, well, what is a journey? What is a learning map? I've never heard of this before. Well, that's part of the reason why we've created this webinar for you, to try to unearth some of those questions and help answer them and see how the system could potentially be used with the audience you're trying to serve. With that said, the best way to think about the learning map is to really start using typical map metaphors. So we all use Google Maps or Apple Maps on probably an almost daily basis to either get driving directions, research our next vacation, whatever it may be. And so what we're trying to build here is the same sort of map infrastructure, but instead of driving directions or a vacation we're trying to plan, we're actually trying to map out our life journey. So walk through that progression. And at the end of the day, the map is being built so that an individual user can come in here, let their interest drive exploration, start searching out where they want to go, and then be able to provide them with those pathways or journeys, pun intended, to help get them there. And so that's the structure we're trying to be building here. And hopefully you'll start seeing how that's being done as I start moving through this webinar. To start with, you will notice that the map does stretch from pre-K all the way through career, with many transition areas found in between. So whether that's K-12, certification, college, whatever it may be, we're getting that whole landscape of that continuum represented on the map. For our first use case, and the one that I'll be walking you through here today, we have a focus around users, and particularly users in grades 6 through 16, coming in here and using the map in the career territory, so over on this right-hand side here, to start exploring careers, occupations based on their interest, and diving a little bit more into the details around what they can find there. And so for the use case that I'm going to be walking you through here, I'm going to walk you through those activities that our current users are coming in here and starting to use Journeys for. To start with, they have three main ways of navigating the map. They can either zoom in and zoom out, so just like a normal map. They can search. We've all used a search bar before, so a typical structure there. And then last but not least, an interest survey, which is found on our dashboard, which I'll be able to show you at the tail end of this demo. So for initial purposes, I'm going to be coming into Journeys. Let's say I'm an 11th grader. I've gotten a Journeys account. I've logged in, and my teacher or my counselor or my parent, whatever it may be, or maybe just myself, I've been able to get an account and signed up and said, hey, I want to start exploring the different careers and occupations that are out there based on my interests. And so let's start using that search, utilizing the search side of things, and say, okay, I think I have some interest around the tech side of things. I've also heard in the news how cybersecurity or data security is pretty not only important, but a growing field that's coming out. So let's start exploring that side of things. So I can use that search to type something as simple as information security. And once I do that, we're going to start seeing results returned to the users in two main ways, either through the cards over on the left or the hotspots on the map. You're seeing the red dots on the right. And there's obviously a relationship between the cards and the hotspots. So if I were to hover over any of these, we'd see that dot get illuminated the most to let you know where you'd be navigating to. And so it just so happens that, let's say, this first card is a career card around the occupation of information security analyst. So if I were to click that, I am now navigated automatically to that spot on the map. And so let's bring that typical map infrastructure back into play and say, okay, usually on the map, you're going to look up a restaurant or a business, a gym, whatever it is. And those are the different GPS coordinates on the map. For our purposes on the learning map, we've taken all those and replaced them with things like an occupation, which you're seeing here, or CTE classes, certifications, standards, skills, whatever it may be. These are all our locations on the map, a grade level. So the users are able to search based on those different parameters and then go explore deeper if they want to. One other great thing that this map metaphor allows us to do is through using that zooming feature, I can also say, okay, what if I were to move back? If I do that, I'm saying, okay, I still have information security analyst selected, but I'm now able to say, okay, that occupation is found in the pathway of programming and software development, which is located right here. And within that pathway, I'm saying, okay, computer network architects, computer information system managers, database administrators. I can drag this map around and start seeing the plethora of other occupations that are found in that pathway that there's probably a rather high likelihood that because I came in here with an interest in one of those occupations, I probably have some sort of interest in these other ones. So I might have never heard of what these other things are, but there's some sort of interest that could potentially be found there, and I could easily go off and explore them. So we're starting to now expose occupations based on interest to the user that they may have never even heard of before, which is now getting that sort of new knowledge into their head and start letting them go off and explore these areas. And this is particularly important for those users who might be have a lower socioeconomical structure, where just finding this sort of opportunity and that this opportunity is out there is really step one, and hopefully letting them see that there is opportunity, there is a pathway to let them get where they want to go. And even if they don't know what these occupations quite mean yet, just letting them see the vast array of opportunity out there is one of the use case feedback items that we've heard a great deal from our early set of users of Journeys. From here, the user would be able to navigate in the same way no matter where we are on the map. And so we have created this infrastructure spread across the map where you've selected an object, in this case, once again, the occupation of information security analyst, and every object on the map comes with what we call a Learn More page. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I will pop open a dashboard that's going to give me more granular detail about whatever object I've chosen. So once again, within an occupation of information security analyst, over on the left, we're starting to see some high-level at-a-glance information just to start to get your feet wet about what this occupation is about. So everything from typical degrees, average annual salary, growth, which is obviously an important statistic when we start factoring in things like AI and other items that are going to start reshaping the job landscape in the 2, 5, 10, 20 years ahead that the students are going to want to start planning for. And then if this caught my interest enough to keep exploring, the user can move down, and within this dashboard, we have a plethora of other widgets. So a widget being any one of these white blocks that's going to house some sort of data for the user related to this occupation in this case. And so, for example, the first one they're encountering are a list of degrees and certifications that are aligned to this occupation that if they're going to go off and want to ultimately land here, these are some different pathways that they can start looking at potentially pursuing. Going hand in hand with that is, okay, those are the different degrees of certifications that I might be interested in. Well, how do I get them? Well, look at that. Second widget there is an institutions widget that is going to let them know here are the institutions surrounding them in a geographic basis. So I happen to be located in San Diego. So you're noticing the first institutions popping up here are all San Diego based. And based on that user's profile, we're able to do that sort of thing and be able to say, okay, here are those institutions that could potentially offer you those degrees or certifications. But as we all know, users migrate around. So we do let them pop into view all. And once I do that over on the left here, we'll start seeing some different search criteria that we can start narrowing things down by or widening that berth. So I can come in here and say, okay, within this zip code, I want to make it a greater radius or change my zip code because I know I'm moving. Search within an entire state. Search only 2-year programs. whatever it may be, we can go through and do that. We're currently pulling from a database that has a little over 9,500 institutions within it. And we have then gone ahead and created a Learn More page. So let's replicate that use case again. We had a Learn More page for the occupations, and now we have a Learn More page for all 9,500 plus institutions that are out there. And we can say, okay, San Diego State University. If I flip that card over, okay, I can see there's a little under 30,000 kids who go here, the average tuition. So give me some high-level information to see if that exploration further is necessary. And if it is, here's that Learn More. And now we're on that dashboard for San Diego State University. Once again, at-a-glance information over on the left, and then building off different widgets that are going to start providing them with information that could be valuable. So geographic location, academic programs they offer, test scores. I remember back in the day trying to map my SAT scores to the schools I was interested in. So nice vital widget there. Graduation rate, cost information, financial aid. Obviously, that's extremely important with the rise in tuition and loans, so being able to track that sort of thing. And obviously going hand in hand with that would be the earnings after school side of things. So some nice widgets that are going to start giving a baseline of information for the user to start with that decision-making process, and we can keep growing these widgets from here. If, whether the user's on this institutional Learn More page or any other Learn More page, they always have the ability to follow or favorite these pages. This is going to do a few different things. First and foremost, on my dashboard, it's going to give me an easy way to navigate back over to these locations, and I'll show you what that looks like. But the second thing this is going to start doing is giving the system an idea of those areas that the user is interested in so that we can start getting a nice profile about them and start sharing some of that information with my connections, which I'm going to bring up at the tail end as well. So keep that whole use case in mind. I'm going to move back over to the occupation dashboard just to round things out here for you. As I move below the institutions widget, we're seeing a top resources widget. So this is a way for us to start attaching digital content to these locations within Journey. So this happens to be a couple of YouTube videos and an article. You can scroll through here and see some pieces of digital content that have been aligned. So we know that they're discoverable and relevant to this location on the map. So if the user was interested in them, we can start aligning these resources to the objects on the map. We can also start thinking of all of our users as publishers themselves. And so if you happen to have a great resource about anything that's found on the map, you can drag and drop that here. It'll automatically get aligned to this location on the map and placed in your portfolio so you can easily access it. And then on the back end, we'll start putting it through a curation process to either be approved or denied to be seen by others based on both your security settings and the background curation process that we have going on. Keep in mind, the other thing besides doing one-off uploads like this potential use case, we can also work directly with schools, institutions, businesses, whatever it may be, to do bulk uploads of resources as well. So if you have a batch of resources that you want aligned to the map so that can get greater visibility, that's also something we can look into. So if you're interested in that, when you reach out to us, let us know. Right next to that is our opportunities widget. And so the opportunities widget is, once again, it knows I'm here in San Diego, which I can update. And within a 50-mile radius, we're automatically being able to do a poll to say, okay, there's 264 jobs, happens to be no internships posted at the current time. Within that radius, if I click on this, we're pulling these in real time from Indeed.com. So these are all live postings that the user can flip through, start seeing what's out there. If they want to take a deeper dive into any of these, we can check out the details. So now we're seeing, okay, here's a security analyst job at Viasat. Well, as let's say an 11th grader, no, I'm not going to be going off and submitting my resume to Viasat to apply to this particular position. But what it's doing is starting to expose me to both those companies that I may have never heard of before. So I may have never known that Viasat is right up there in North County and is within the profession that I have an interest in, but also who they are, what they're doing, who I'd be working with, and some granular details about that I may not have ever heard of before. So it's starting to maybe even let me start to think of the questions that I might have for my parent, for my tutor, for my counselor, my teacher, to start saying, hey, I saw this posting. It's letting me know X, Y, Z, but what is that? Here are some different certifications that are around. What is CSIP certification? What is CISI certification? Tell me about this. How do I look this up? So it's starting to get those questions out of the user that they may have not even thought of prior to this. I'll move back over here. Ultimately, we're going to keep growing this widget, so the use case with Indeed is just a stepping stone to be able to attach to other both job boards and directly with the business community. So if you have interest in attaching job boards or internship postings, job shadowing, apprenticeship, career discovery type experiences within Journeys, also let us know. We're happy to have those discussions. Nearby places, it's going to give me a glimpse. When I was on the map, I was seeing those surrounding areas on the map so that I could go off and click through. This is just a linear view of those things, so I can start seeing, okay, here are those related occupations that I could learn more about if I wanted to. And then last but not least, we have 6 very related widgets around the task, technology, knowledge, skills, work activities, and abilities aligned directly to this occupation. So we're getting a really, really granular look at these different sectors that fall within this occupation and the different skills that are related to it. So, for example, if I want to learn more about the technology, being able to say, okay, view all. Here are the categories of technology on the left, and I can start scrolling through here to give you a sense of what's going on and how deep it goes. But on the right, we're saying in blue, okay, here are the different platforms of use, as well as the indicators in red are if they're deemed hot or not. So I can see, okay, here's Ruby on Rails. What is that? Maybe I have no idea what that is. Ultimately, right now, this is the easy way to, once again, start generating those questions. But where we're going with Journeys is to also make these actionable to be able to have a Learn More page specifically about Ruby on Rails. So I can go through and click that and get there. And so that's where we're taking all this as we keep building out the map and how it really has a never-ending number of layers to it. So with all that said, the next question that we envision this student asking, or the user, I should say, saying, okay, well, how do I get here? How do I become an information security analyst? So if I move back over to the map, I'm going to say, just like with driving directions, so I'm going to bring that map metaphor back into play. And we're going to go, okay, I need a starting point, I need an ending point. If I come over here, click on our Journeys icon, we have now made information security analyst our ending destination. And I said I was going to be in the 11th grade today. I now have those 2 parameters, and we are then able to present to the user different pathways or journeys, if you will, that the user could potentially take to get there. Because just like with driving directions, there's many different ways that you can go to get from spot A to spot B. So to start with, we're presenting 3 different options in this case. We have a pathway that's going through college, one that's going through the military, and one that's going through certification that the user could go off and explore. Once again, just like with driving directions, we can start attaching metadata to these different routes. So with driving directions, you might see time and mileage. So to start with, let's say if I hovered over this college path, it would let me know, okay, that college path is used by about 65% of the people who are ultimately landing in that occupation I was looking at. So that's a pretty high percentage. What about the certification one? Okay, that one's only used about 10% of the time. Maybe that's going to start having a factoring into my decision-making process. Obviously, with the growth around the use case around certifications and those stackable type credentials, we would expect these numbers on the certification side of things to start getting higher as users start going through those pathways, and the Journeys map will help us track that sort of thing. Ultimately, also being able to attach things like cost, time, traffic congestion, all those sorts of things can be attached to these routes. Just like with driving directions, we can get the turn-by-turn level. So over on the left here, and once again, this is still a pretty high level where we're saying, okay, you got to finish 11th and 12th grade. And then from there, it's telling me to go take a look at the computer science bachelor's through that college pathway. So what if I go do that? I was taking a look at that IT sector. I'm going to use the zooming this time. And I'm going to go through here. And I'm going to say, okay, below the IT cluster, I'm now able to start seeing within that cluster, here are the typical degrees that are found in that cluster. So here's that computer science bachelor that the pathway was telling us to go look at. What if I go one step further? Now below that degree, we'd start seeing the different courses that are found to walk me through here. So it's not just that high level journey that we were seeing on that previous incarceration with the lines. We can actually get granular, in this case, all the way down to the course level. Below this, as we start working directly with schools and institutions, aligning syllabus, class time, teachers, that sort of thing. So it's actually a step-by-step process to walk you through things. And we've just started being able to do that. Just to give you a sense, if you have interest in loading course catalogs onto the map, what you're looking at up here is kind of a generic view of what college could look like. But if I were to say, okay, what does a particular college in this case look like, I can actually go into the settings. And let's say I was interested in going to National University. That's one of our early use cases of having an entire course catalog loaded onto the map. Hit apply. And now this college territory has now transformed into National University. If I were to go back into the IT sector, I would no longer be looking at, hey, this is what college could look like. I am now looking at, these are the actual course catalog from the course catalog degree programs that National is currently offering. Here's that computer science option. Below that, well, here are the actual courses that I would have to take if I wanted to gain my bachelor's in computer science by going through National. And so we're going through that step by step in a very granular way and exposing this sort of detail on the map in ways that users have never seen before. And so once again, if you are a school, institution, certification provider, that sort of thing, who's interested in having your data loaded onto the map to have it be exposed in this sort of way, let us know and we can have those discussions as well. Last but not least, on that exploration side of things is the interest survey, which I mentioned at the beginning. So we move to your dashboard. One, this is the spot you can start making it home. Also, when I mentioned following and favoriting, I can start seeing, okay, here are all the different objects on the map that I've started to follow or favorite that I could easily navigate back over to. So having a nice accumulation of those. But that third way of navigating is, okay, maybe I don't really know where I want to go. Let's see what would happen. If I come down here in the lower right is where we'll find an interest survey. We're currently using an interest survey that's based off of the Holland score, so the RIASIC model. And so this user can come in here. This survey's already been taken, but to give you a sense of what it looks like, I can click Take Survey again. And now they're taken to about a 10-minute survey, 60 questions. It's all about likes and dislikes. We've tried to make it engaging using some fun little emojis there. The user would just have to go through, click each of those based on their likes and dislikes. And once they do that, they'd start seeing their results, which if I go back to my dashboard, we can give you one view of. So it's saying, okay, I am only about a 10 on the realistic scale, but a 20 on the conventional, 23 enterprising. So we can see the 6 different criteria that the RIASIC model measures. And then based off of that RIASIC score, we're able to do an automated correlation to say, okay, based on your RIASIC score, here are some recommended occupations that tie directly to that. So you can use that as a jumping off point to start exploring where they want to go or where you want to go. But the other thing we let the user do, which is pretty cool, is being able to say, okay, this is only saying I'm on the lower end of being realistic. I think I'm pretty realistic. What if I were to say I'm on the high side? Drag that over. And when I did that, my cards up top just shuffled based on that new score. So we can start giving the user both a scientifically valid RIASIC score, but also a manual score based on how they feel about themselves, while with the gray dot there, always keeping track of where that scientifically valid score is. So we can give both data sets to the user, and they can always come here, view all, and now we're starting to see all those different occupations that I've been connected over to. You can flip any of these over to get a high-level glimpse of them, just like we did with the institutions. And then if we want to learn more, we're now on a Learn More page about the anthropology and architecture of teacher post-secondary position, and start exploring just like we did for the information security analyst job. So we've kind of completed the life cycle of how our users are starting to interact with Journeys. They're coming in, they're either using the map to search or zoom in, zoom out to find career interests, or using that interest survey to start driving through things and creating journeys from there. So as a end student user, we're coming here and we're asking students to go through those activities. So if you are working with an audience that you think would benefit from that sort of use case, please let us know. We're very interested in rolling it out to you and seeing where it can be utilized and getting your feedback. One last thing I did want to share with you is going back to that connections piece, which I mentioned around the following and favoriting. And so you, as let's say you're a counselor and you want to load your students into Journeys, we could then connect you with them so that you come over to this side of things. One of the dashboards you'd be able to see is a connections dashboard. So you'd be able to filter by both parameters on schools, grades, class, or specific names. And then down below, see those results. And if you select any of these, we're now looking at the specific user that you've been verified to be connected with. Now you can see that, okay, he or she has created one journey. They've also taken the survey once and also manually changed it once. Well, let's see what that looks like. Now I can pop in here, start seeing those results. I can also change the date so I can start getting some longitudinal differences over time. Moving down here, I can see, okay, here's when they're typically logging. It seems like Wednesday is a pretty popular day for this user. Maybe that's because of a particular class or that sort of thing. You can view all, and you can start getting granular around the types of even times of day, so you can narrow in that way. And so some nice granular information about that. Down below here, you can start seeing some metadata around, in this case, the institutions that they're actively going to. So you can start having these conversations to say, oh, it looks like you're interested in Point Loma Nazarene. What's drawing you there? Do you know how much it costs? Is there different scholarships available for that? So you can start having that data in front of you before they come into maybe a counseling type session. Same thing around occupation metrics. Oh, I see that you're interested in being some sort of operations manager or going into the arts. Well, your class load isn't really syncing up with that. Let's maybe look at what we could shift around for the current quarter or maybe the next semester or the following year so that your class load is aligning directly with your interest level. And so getting this sort of dashboard in the hands of those individuals who can help make those, have that support system for the individuals who are coming here and starting this exploration is our use case around this connections piece and being able to let you hopefully do what it is you do best better and get that data in front of you. And so with all that said, move back over to the map. I want to thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to view this webinar. As I mentioned at the very beginning, if you're interested in learning more about us or getting in touch with us, you can always come to the website, place your email in here, and we'll get back a hold of you. Or you can always reach us via email at hi@informedjourneys.com. Or once again, our social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Our handle is @informedjourneys. We're happy to have you follow along and hopefully get a laugh about some of the things that's going on in the office as well. So we'd like to have some fun on that side of things as well. So with all that said, thank you very much for taking some time out of your day. So again, this is Scott from Journeys. Thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to hopefully hearing from you about implementing Journeys down the line. Thanks.